Don't take off yet.
And Joe was backstage with us, and he was like, man, I'm so stoked. Doesn't matter if there's 5 people out there. We're going to have an eye-to-eye relationship. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to connect with these people. I was like, no, Joe, you're not allowed to go out there unless these folks are excited to interact with you. So can we give him a little bit of love backstage? Give him a little bit of love.
Let's give it up for Joe.
Yeah? Yeah, everybody excited to talk to Joe Fairless this morning?
All right.
All right. Why don't you kick us off, Garrett?
Let's bring it out, Mr. Joe Fairless.
I'm just looking for a good time.
Bring him out.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good energy. Of course you have good energy, Trevor. So I heard what they were asking, and I want to make it a little bit easier. What's been just a highlight? I want to know a highlight that you've had from this conference. We're on the 3rd day, right? We got a couple sessions left. You've invested your time here with each other. So someone give me a highlight, except for the people that already talked, the 2 people already talked. I'm going to pick on you if I don't get someone to raise your hand. All right, ma'am. What's been a highlight?
Debate?
The debate?
Yeah.
And what about it?
I think it's both informational and entertaining.
Informational, entertaining. That's always one of the best parts of the show. What about something that you haven't quite got out of this conference yet that you'd like to still get out of it? What's something that maybe a topic or something that you're working through a challenge that you haven't quite got resolved through this conference yet? Everyone's got, oh, there we go. We got a challenge. How to get through. Well, that is just perfect, my friend. He is not a plant. Thank you. Well, so that's what I want to talk about, actually. And there's going to be different components to this. And ultimately, there have been some challenges, but man, I have so much respect for everyone in this room. And the reason why I was delayed getting here Sunday night, and that's a challenge, but there's an opportunity there. The opportunity is I met someone who is a couple people. I saw Jay Parsons, and I also met someone else, Adrian, with Cashflow Portal. Adrian in here? He's probably at the booth making it happen. But one thing that he said is the people who are attending this year, because he attends all sorts of conferences, the people who are attending this year, they're in for the long haul. And these are the type of people that we want to be around, people who are in it for the long haul. So, man, I have a lot of respect for everyone in this room because you are a long hauler. Like, you are a long haul. You're in this for the long haul. And other conferences, they might not have a conference this year. Our attendance is down a little bit this year. But the people who are here, which is everyone in this room, it's impressive. And we're in it for the long haul, despite the challenges. And there are challenges, right? Some specific to my company at the top, pausing distributions. Some not specific to my company, capital calls. Who the heck knows what's going on with tariffs, how that's going to impact things. Interest rates, up until about a week and a half ago, interest rates were being decreased, but the 5 and 10-year Treasury weren't cooperating. So there's a lot of challenges, but with that, what happens? Well, these 4 companies, who can think of what they have in common? Boom. Started during a recession. I don't think we're in a recession. That can be debated, and that's not my area of expertise. But I think it's clear that we're in a challenging time right now in our industry. And in fact, about half of Fortune 500 companies started in a recession. So here are the 3 opportunities that I see right now for us. And we're going to get into tactics. The purpose of this conversation is to share tactical things that have been applied by me and my team that have been helpful for us. And then, feel free to pick and choose whichever one of these things, if all of them, if a couple of them, that you want to implement. So 3 opportunities. Hey, who's seen Last Samurai, Tom Cruise movie a while ago? You remember that the scene where the people with the samurai swords were going up against the other people that had the machine gun? And technology a little bit different, and we all know the outcome. there's a competitive advantage right now with AI. And those of us who are using AI to the ability that we could use it in our business, and we'll talk about tactics for how we're doing it, there is a crazy competitive advantage for that. So we're going to talk about that. Distress looking for solutions, we're going to talk about deals and specifically one strategy for finding off-market deals to be the solution for the distress. And it's not just a strategy that is theory-based. We actually are buying a deal that way, and you can replicate this way too. In relationships, strain leads to strength. Who's got some muscles that I haven't messed with or actually, called on yet? Who's got some muscles? Let's see. You got some muscles, right? I see those muscles. If you do 10 reps, which rep leads to the most growth? The 11th. Thank you for participating in that. The 11th. And so the strain that we have, that's a Tony Robbins thing. The strain that we have in our relationships through challenging times, one of two things happens, right? Personal relationships, professional relationships. When you go through some challenging stuff, you either grow apart or you grow closer together, right? One of two things. You're not going to stay the same. You're not going to stay, you're going to hold serve. And so this is an opportunity right now when we're going through challenging times to strengthen our relationships and build more strength and come out stronger together. So if we get it right now, then we'll be set up for the upcoming tailwinds, because there are tailwinds, and we've talked about that, or other people have talked about that at this conference. All right, so 4 outcomes for our conversation: stronger relationships, strategy for attracting off-market deals, raising more money, and accomplishing goals. Stronger relationships. So I went on a hike with 4 of the guys a little over a year ago. I knew one of them kind of well, and I didn't really know the others as well. We're going to go on a nice 50-mile hike. None of us had ever hiked before. We're going to go on a nice 50-mile hike, 4 nights. I thought it was 3 nights when I arrived, and they're like, no, we're actually staying till Monday. We're not leaving Sunday. I was like, okay, rock and roll. I thought it'd be nice and scenic. We all thought it would be nice and scenic. It was in the Daniel Boone National Forest, and turned out none of that was the case. We were in Daniel Boone National Forest, but everything else did not go according to plan. The scenery was me looking at the guy in front of me's boots, the back of his boots, because the terrain was so uneven and bumpy. I think this video will play. This will give you an idea of what it was like. 50 pounds on a backpack, crawling through, and that's basically the hike. And it was not 50 miles. It was 66 miles. Apparently, if you do zigzags over terrain, that's longer than if you do a straight line, which we had mapped out. We saw lots of snakes. In fact, one snake was in my buddy's, you got a backpack on, and you got the buckle that goes right there. And he was waking up in the morning, and he's about to buckle that thing up, and a little baby copperhead was in between, like the buckle, right when he was going to buckle it up. Yeah, and those things go chomp, 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 right? Babies are really dangerous. Another buddy, just last month, and again, we went on this hike over a year ago. Another buddy just last month, his hip was bothering him. I mean, he's like, 35-year-old man. His hip was bothering him, and he's fit. And so he got an MRI on his hip just last month from the hike that we did a year ago. That's not my wrist, but that's a picture from Google of someone getting a cortisone shot in their wrist, because that's what I had happen a couple times, a couple shots, because on the last day I fell and busted up my wrist, and I thought it was broken. Turns out I was just being a wimp. But the cortisone shot helped. And so it was not what we expected. But here's the beautiful thing, and here's what I learned from it. The conversations that we had at the beginning of the 50 miles and at the end of the 66th mile were completely different. They were conversations initially, surface level, and then at the end, because we got to know each other so well, at the end it was, I know now, one of my buddies on that camping trip, who he's really close to in his family, challenges that he's going through, kids, relationships, everything. And it was beautiful. And it was an aha moment for me, because I realized that I have friends who I've known years-wise for decades. But I don't know those friends as well as I know these 4 guys who I spent 4 days with. I don't know them as well. And it's because of these 4 things. We had a kid, and I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, what was it about this experience that allowed me to get to know these guys so well? 1 is a character revealing challenge. That was very challenging. 2, vulnerable conversations. 3, limited alcohol. And 4, it was in person. So I thought, okay, how can I replicate this whenever I am not wanting to pass out with 50 pounds on my back? How can I replicate this in the real world? And so what I do now is this year I'm intentional. I am intentional about building relationships. I write down this year I have 7 people who I want to and will hang out with 12 different times throughout the year, and one of them will be an in-person event, in-person something. Like it could be as simple as taking a 2-hour road trip to see a basketball game. It doesn't have to be an elaborate thing. And from that, it is so fulfilling. And I would imagine that you came to this conference for multiple reasons, but I mean, the number one thing is the people, right? It's the people. And the number one thing with this conference that I've seen from year 1 to now year 9 is the quality of people in this room and at this conference is untouchable compared to any other experience that I have, that I've experienced at a conference. And it's experienced individuals like yourself who are doing deals, who are making things happen, and generally humble people who want to help out and want to help each other. It's beautiful. And so I simply wanted to try and create that for outside of the conference, outside of experiences. So here's some tactical things. 3 organizations. I'll let you guess which one I'm associated with and which 2 I'm not associated with. But the first step is to surround yourself with the community, and then once you surround yourself with the community, then it's a matter of, okay, that's step 1, but the real good stuff comes in play where you actually meet with people on a weekly basis and then in person on a monthly basis. So YPO, I've heard great things, the forum. I have a lot of friends in YPO. GoBundance, David Osborne was talking, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. Great guy, one of the founders of GoBundance, heard wonderful things about GoBundance. And then Best Ever Community, we're just starting that up, and everyone in this room you get it for free for a year, assuming that you sign up for next year. Or I think you also get it for free if you're a member, or if you are attending this year for a month. So either way, you're getting it free for a period of time. And so that's on the friends front. From a family standpoint, because deeper relationships, like I'm in this for the long haul, long-term relationships with long-term people. Anyone read the book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant? Couple? Phenomenal book about life and wealth. But that's one thing he mentions, long-term relationships with long-term people. So now I'm going to talk quickly about something that we do as a family. Last year I talked about High C. Anyone remember High C? What's your highlight? What's your challenge? Go around the dinner table. That's been helpful for my family. In addition to that, what my family does, which might be helpful for you, is we do a family meeting once a week. And on Mondays after dinner, we simply, my kid's 6, so instead of writing things out, we draw. But my wife and my daughter and I, we have a piece of construction paper. We write that we do 4 things. 1, we tell a joke to open up the meeting. 2, we draw pictures of what we're doing for the week, what we got going on. 3 is we read a quick story and talk about a lesson that we learned. And then 4, we simply circle the thing we're most looking forward to. And so that this is just an example of what we did on about a month ago. Attracting off-market deals. There's opportunity out there. And one thing that's happening, it's not happening as much as everyone anticipated, but one thing that's happening is banks are foreclosing on deals. And they have a problem when they do that. Someone who is not a VIP, because we already talked about this yesterday, so someone who is not a VIP, what does a lender need lined up before they foreclose on an apartment community? Management. That's right. Management. That's a big thing for them. If they foreclose on a deal and they don't have management in place, then it's just their assets going to keep tanking, right? So you can be a solution to that. What we did is we reached out to our lenders and we said, hey, we know that you might be taking over some deals from operators. We have a property management company, and we'd like to manage those deals for you. And oh, by the way, if you show us the numbers, we'd take a look at buying them too. We went in as a solution to the problem that the lenders have. If you do not have a management company, that's okay, right? You can still make the strategy work. Because I recognize most operators aren't vertically integrated. How you do it is you simply go to your property management company that you work with, and you say, hey, I'd like to hook you up with some lenders who are foreclosing on some deals, and we'll go in as a united front, and I'll tell the lender, XYZ company is a great management company, and they're local. I know you might be taking some properties over in this area. I'd also like to take a look at the deals to buy them and take them off your hands. That happened to us, and we talked to a lender, and they sent us 6 deals. All 6 deals were an opportunity to buy the deal at the debt amount. 5 out of 6 still didn't make sense, even at the debt amount. But one did, and we got a 4.5% fixed interest rate for 5 years. Year 1 is 2.5% interest rate, and the other 2% accrues whenever we exit. Year 2 through 5, I believe, is 3.25% interest rate. The opportunity to make deals happen in this environment is there. It's just a matter of being creative enough and leveraging the relationships that you have and being a solution to the challenges that in this case, lenders might have. So that is a proven way to get an off-market deal. Raising more money. First thing that we need when we raise before we start raising money is we got to have a model. I won't spend a lot of time on this one. I'll just say that we have started implementing EOS. It's been a game changer for us. Who has a remote team? Oh, yeah. So 30%, plus I'll round it up to 50 for people who didn't raise their hand. At least half of us have remote team members, and the accountability aspect of having a remote team is tough, right? This is the solution to the accountability aspect. And I recognize I'm late to the party on this. I just read Traction like 3 months ago. So I recognize the book's been out for a very long time. I'm a late adopter there. Another tactic for, and then I've got a couple AI things for raising money. Another tactic for raising money now, yesterday, and tomorrow is the thought process of No one can beat you at being you. No one in the world can beat you at being you. When you are genuinely, authentically you, no one can beat you at that, period. So how do we leverage that? Well, we leverage that based off of, we leverage that by identifying the groups that we're in and that we're a part of. So on my team, for example, Danielle Jackson, head of investor relations, she played volleyball at Boise State. D1 volleyball player at Boise State. Impressive. And also something that we can use to talk to former D1 athletes. What's a former D1 athlete say about passively investing, or whatever the tagline is? I went to Texas Tech. I was not good enough to play anything D1, but I went to Texas Tech, and I'm on the alumni advisory board for Texas Tech. So it can be a LinkedIn ad that simply targets Texas Tech graduates. Learn how Texas Tech alumni invest passively in real estate. Because the number one thing, the key factor for building rapport is having something in common and having them already feel like they know you prior to the conversation. And military, who's been in the military? Thank you. I mean that. Thank you. Same thing, right? You could speak to other military members and use LinkedIn as a way to target them. Who has skied before? Skiers. Let me see skiers. Okay. Who wants to participate in my mind reading trick? And is a skier. All right, you're way over anxious, but I'm gonna roll with you. He is not a plant, unlike Ryan. He is not a plant. Oh, you got your ski socks. I got my tiger socks on right now. All right. So the key, one of the beautiful things with business is if you can anticipate, then you are in a really good spot to accomplish things. And so I'm not much of a skier. I'm a green guy, and if I go on a blue, it's on accident. But I had a skiing experience a little while ago, and the ski resort absolutely anticipated exactly what I wanted as soon as I was done skiing. No, it wasn't Vail. So I'd like to know when you're done skiing, and we'll say it at the same time. I want to see if I can predict exactly what you're going to say. I tried this a couple years ago. I wasn't any good at it. So hopefully I've gotten better. So I'm going to count to 3, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, and then I'd like you to say, and I'll say, what is the number one thing that you want right after you get done skiing? 1, 2, 3. Chocolate chip cookies. Wait, what'd you say? I'll take all the bits. Okay. All right. So I still suck at my crystal ball. But here's the thing, where I'm good at and where you can be good at, well, by the way, the ski resort had warm chocolate chip cookies, like right after we got off. It was amazing. That's so much better than taking off your boots. With business, though, and with investors, we all have the power to do much better than what I just did on anticipating things. And that is with a combination of Aircall and ChatGPT. So here's how you do it, and here's how we do it. Our prospective investors' calls are recorded through Aircall. It's prospective investors notified about it, and we then take a batch of those conversations and we upload it to ChatGPT, and then we ask, and then we give it prompts, and then we're able to identify from those conversations what are the terms, what's the terminology that the people that the investors are saying that they're using, and then we can identify the types of phrases that they're using, and then we can incorporate that into our marketing messages. We take a look at, of those conversations, which of those investors invested, which of those investors did not invest. Of those investors who invested, what were they talking about? What questions were they asking? What were some specific words they're using? And of the investors who did not invest, who just like went AWOL afterwards, what were they talking about? What questions were they asking? And then by running it through ChatGPT for $20 a month, right? And Aircall is really cheap too. We're able to anticipate the future conversations with future investors, and we're able to identify the marketing messages that resonate by using the words that the investors who do invest are using in the conversations. It's a beautiful thing, and it works really well. Voxjar, is a way to, okay, now that we've anticipated how to have the conversations and the marketing messaging, now how do we make sure the person speaking to the investors is doing a good job? Voxjar is simply a system that allows us to have a scorecard for the investor relations individuals, and you have to teach it. You have to teach Voxjar how to, like, what's a good conversation sound like? What are some things that they should keep in mind? What are the things they should say? What are the questions they should ask? As you teach the system, then it gets better and better at scoring the individuals, and then you can simply take a look. Well, conversions are down. Okay, well, let's take a look at the scorecards. Let's take a look at the IR people and see where they're at on scoring, and then it can help you optimize the system. Accomplishing goals. And the crazy thing is, it's the most important aspect, in my opinion, of accomplishing goals is not the goal itself, it's the system that's in place to accomplish the goal. So it's about creating a system to be set up for success. And then when you create the system, okay, well, now you've given yourself some momentum. You built the environment in which you can have a higher likelihood of achieving success. So I'll give you an example. This is my vision board from last year. JQ, that stands for Joe and my daughter, 12 out of 12, so dad-daughter nights. JC, my wife and I plan the odd months out. Date night, she plans the even months. 120 hours, I did not accomplish that. I probably did like 5 hours a month. 18 books, I did read 18 books, and 195 pounds by the 15th of every month. 10 out of 12 months, I did 12 out of 12. The key here, though, is having a system in which I was holding myself accountable. So what we did is, this is a 3 feet by 4 feet poster board on my wall. It's also on my phone. And the system I'm using is, well, I told my daughter, I'm going to get all these smiley face stickers, and then as I accomplish these things, you can pick out a sticker and you can put it up on the wall. And so I brought in my family, and I prominently displayed what my goals were. That's some major accountability when you bring in other people, especially your family, and you're prominently displaying things. Also, desserts. I got a sweet tooth. That's a thing for me. And now I have created a system where I tell everyone that I got one dessert day a week. That's how I roll. That's the only way I can do it. One dessert day a week. And then that is a system that I use to, moderate something I enjoy. And unfortunately, I had dessert yesterday. It was really good, but it was only Tuesday yesterday, so I got a long week ahead of me. All right, so here's a summary. Tips to thrive in 25. Joining or creating an accountability group, which includes a weekly call and monthly in-person meeting. Having a family meeting, that's been helpful for us every week on Mondays. We probably only missed, since July when we started it, we probably only missed like 4 or 5 times. We would be traveling, and then we'd be in the rental car, and we get out a piece of paper and we draw it up. Partner with a management company to attract foreclosed deals. Be the solution for the management company to attract foreclosed deals, because there's not a huge wave of them like we anticipated, but there are some, and you can be the solution and find off-market deals. EOS, find limited partners and alumni groups, then do a custom 5 email sequence. I didn't mention the email sequence, but having a customized 5 email sequence talking about being a Division I athlete in the case of Danielle, being a Texas Tech person with some Lubbock, Texas references. Aircall plus ChatGPT to influence messaging and to have a crystal ball on what to expect in conversations and to anticipate what will take place before it happens. And by the way, I was talking to John Kasman yesterday, and he mentioned he was interviewing a woman, and she's really good at AI, and she said before the conversation she had with him, she ran it through like some AI model. It wasn't ChatGPT, and it gave her all the information on him on how to connect with him as a person. Like, oh, well, John has this type of personality. He likes to talk about these things. These are some projects he's been working on. Here's his family situation. And so John sent me, I forget the name of the AI thing. He sent me it last night. But then I thought, well, how would ChatGPT do that? And it did it pretty well. So you could also just do it through ChatGPT, and I did it last night. I tested it on actually my wife, who I didn't tell yet, but I was like, yeah, I can connect with her better talking about this stuff. And then also I ran it through John too, and I didn't tell him about that yet because I just did it last night. But all I did is I asked it, it was through, you click the deep research button on ChatGPT, and I said, hey, I have a meeting with John Kasman tomorrow. I'd like to really connect with him well. Tell me how to do that. And it did this deep research, and it took like 3.5 minutes, and it just laid out family situation and just an aggregate of everything. And said, here's some things you can talk to him about. So obviously, how can we apply that? Well, if you have an investor call, right before the call, do it. Take 3.5 minutes and get some intel, and you can connect with them faster that way. Voxjar to improve LP conversations, and then displaying goals involving others and creating a system. Thanks, everyone.